Thank you for joining us again for the Margate Bookie storytelling sessions. We are very lucky today to have Sam Gayton. So Sam's written 5 novels for children, which is quite impressive. And his latest, The Last Zoo, was selected for the Book Buzz scheme, so you might have come across it. He's going to read for us this lunchtime. He'll be sharing some of his work and just hopefully entertaining you all. So take it away, Sam.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's lovely to be with you digitally. My name's Sam. I think this cover really swings it for a lot of people because they think it looks really fun. And I agree, it is quite a fun story. But somebody's head does get chopped off in it as well. I'm not going to read from that bit because that would be a bit too scary. But somebody's head does get chopped off. I do worry that sometimes maybe like cute little 3-year-olds like my kids might pick it up and be like, "Mummy, I want this story," and then they'll get to the head chopping bit and they'll get very angry at me. But nobody sent me any angry emails yet, so I reckon we've got two for Royal Whiskers, which means we're going to have Royal Whiskers. So I'm going to read from you the bit where this bit. I'm going to read to you the bit where the transformation happens, where Alexander, Prince Alexander, who's the only heir to the royal throne of this faraway magical kingdom, this frozen magical land called Petrosia, which I've kind of based a little bit on Russia, because I'm really interested in Russia. So it's called Petrosia. And it's really frozen and icy, and it's got amazing towers and buildings. And Alexander is the only heir to this kingdom. And his dad looks a bit like, I might be able to find a picture of his dad quick. His dad looks a bit like, oh, here's his dad. Quite a fearsome dude. Quite a fearsome dude indeed. He's a massive, huge warrior, and he's conquered all the lands around Petrosia. And he wants his son to grow up and be a conqueror as well, which is why what is about to happen is so terrible, especially for the king, the Tsar, as he's called in Russia. So there's what else do I need to tell you? So there's two kids called Peter and Teresa, and Peter is really good with maths and numbers, and Teresa is really good with her imagination. And together they've teamed up to dabble in something called alchemy, which is potion making. And they've created this potion which can turn things into, well, I'm not going to tell you what it turns them into, but I'm sure you can work it out. And they've been discovered with their potion making by Prince Alexander, who's there. And they're also been discovered by Prince Alexander's tutor, who's very mean and nasty. And he's called Lord Zin. And Lord Zin has actually got a gun pointed at Peter and Teresa, and he's about to shoot them because alchemy is illegal in Petrosia, and he doesn't want anyone to be a bad influence on Prince Alexander. But Teresa's got the bottle of potion, and she's tried to throw it at Lord Zin. And turn him into, well, I'm sure you can imagine, but something bad happens. Okay. Chapter 7, here it is. The catastrophe unfolded in dreadful slow motion. Peter, the guy that's really good at numbers, saw everything with awful clarity, but was unable to move fast enough to stop it from happening. Lord Zin brought his pistol up, and he was too fast, and Teresa was throwing the bottle, but she was too slow, and the barrel was aiming straight for her heart. But then Teresa trod on one of the hazelnuts that she'd scattered over the floor a few minutes beforehand, and she went sprawling head over heels. Peter's ears filled with a chorus of gunshots, and behind Teresa, a swift and deadly bullet tore itself through the leaves and buried itself into the brick wall with a flash of blue sparks. Teresa had just accidentally dodged a bullet. At the time, though, Peter didn't realise that. He was too preoccupied with watching the bottle of potion to think about anything else. It tumbled from her grasp as Teresa fell, spinning lazily end over end, sending fat swirls of ginger potion sloshing into the air straight towards Lord Zin, who ducked, and straight towards Prince Alexander, who didn't. There was a wet, splatting sound, followed by a moment of stillness, broken only by the steady drip, drip, drip of ginger sludge from Alexander's hair, chin, ears, and hands. Crouched behind him, Lord Zin was completely dry. Only the barrel of his pistol was wet with the potion. The prince had been his barricade. Teresa staggered to her feet. Her expression was slack with horror. "Alexander!" she cried. "Get the Catastrophica off of you!" The Catastrophica, by the way, is what they've called their magical potion. Catastrophica. Bear that in mind. "The Watty-Wattica?" said Alexander. He stood there in a puddle of potion. It glooped and slopped down his whole body in long, syrupy strands, a bit like if you tipped a whole bottle of treacle over you. "Holy Sokotoa," Peter breathed. "Is it bad if I swallowed some?" Alexander said with a gulp. "It wasn't mustard, was it? I'm allergic to mustard." Peter and Teresa and Lord Zin all backed away from the Prince of Petrosia with a kind of horrified fascination. But the moments passed and Alexander didn't change. There was no magical transformation. Luckily, there was no explosion either, as their potion had had a habit of doing that. Alexander was still the same little boy, sitting in his dressing gown, his ginger hair unbrushed. "Wait a second," Peter said to Alexander. "You don't have ginger hair." Beside him, Teresa let out a little gasp that was equally parts horror and triumph. "Oh, he does now," she said. Alexander tilted his head. "What do I have, meow?" he said, and then giggled. "I mean, what do I have meow now? Meow now. Meow, meow, meow." That was how it began. Peter and Teresa's alchemy did work. It was just taking its time, because cats are lazy and stubborn creatures, and any potion that changes you into one will do so exactly when and as it pleases. Peter sniffed. There was a smell of burning. It was getting stronger. He cried out. Wisps of orange smoke were wafting out of the prince's ears, now from his nose, now a long twisting tendril curled out from his bottom like a tail. Alexander hopped and crouched over the shelf. "What's happening?" he said, more confused than afraid. "I feel like I'm full of fizzy juice." With a blink, his pupils flattened from circles to slits. Fur spiked up on his skin. Orange sparks jumped and fizzed, whizzing off his body and popping in puffs of pale pink smoke. It was as if he had had fleas and they had decided to set off a display of miniature fireworks. Lord Zin backed away, staring at Prince Alexander. "Alchemy!" he cried. "Actual alchemy! My gosh!" There was a sucking sound. Alexander was starting to shrink. His dressing gown fell on top of him like a collapsed circus tent. Out of the sleeve walked a very tiny, very ginger, and very soggy kitten. Peter and Teresa looked down at their friend. "Meow," he said to them. There we go. I hope that you enjoyed that opening to the Royal Whiskers, and it's been fun. And I guess that's kind of me. But yeah, thank you very much. And I hope you're all safe and I hope you're all well.